When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future updates that I post on my community tab frequently. Like I said in the last video, if you guys keep hitting the like button as you has been, I'll keep popping one part after another. If this video gets at least, something easy, 70 likes, I'll start making the next part of the script for part 4. We're going to continue where we last left off in our story. The next morning, Deku got up and made his way out of the igloo and continued his pathway towards the cave that he sees in the far distance. Once Deku got through the forest, he knows a good portion of his pathway forward is a huge body of water. As a thick portion of the water is frozen from the cold temperatures, Deku looked around. No other pathway can be seen to get to the other side. It seems the only way to get to that part of the landmass across is to cross the frozen water. It's technically seawater, but that's regardless. But that's neither here or there. It's the only way to get to that part of the land. He has to cross the frozen water. Each step Deku took, he could hear cracks little by little bit by parts of the frozen water. Some parts of the frozen water is pretty thin. Deku just needs to walk across the large, partially frozen body of water to get to the other side. Deku immediately stopped, seeing the cracks he's making become bigger as a killer whale bursts out of the ice as it tries to dive right above Deku, trying to eat him, as Deku slid sideways. As the killer whale slammed into the frozen surface and dived into the water. Immediately after that, the solid structures of the ice begins to crack in bigger portions, forcing Deku to run. The orca whale gave chase by swimming and smashing into the frozen surface of the top of the water, breaking through it while it's swimming. You gotta be kidding me. I'm starting to really dislike Alaska. As Deku begins running even faster, trying to get to the other side, Deku started to increase his speed while the killer whale is right behind him. While Deku noticed the orca killer whale opened his mouth wide to take a bite out of Izuku when he got take a bite of Deku when he got close enough. Of course, I would come across the only psychopathic killer whale. This whole place is a death trap. Deku maneuvered his hands behind him and started to blast ice out of the palm of his hand, increasing his speed, rocketing while the killer whale is keeping up with him until he finally got to the other side, getting to the land. Deku skid across the snow, watching the killer whale swim around. I'm not going back that way, that's for sure. That ice is too broken up for me even to attempt it. And that killer whale is going to be a problem. No thank you. As the killer whale is pacing in the water, keeping Deku in its view of vision, Deku yelled Deku yelled at the orca in a rare occurrence, showing his frustration. You think you won, you stupid animal? I'm far too busy to deal with you. As Deku pointed his index finger at the killer whale. Next time we meet, you'll be nothing but a ice sculpture. And my new wallet. When I'm done with you. Deku huffed after speaking his piece. It's the first time he's shown frustration in his facial expressions. He did not enjoy himself being chased down by a large sea creature trying to eat him. By a oversized fish. Deku turned his back to the killer whale and walked further, entering the forest on the side of the landscape he's currently at. Deku immediately could tell the difference by all the small animals that are just staring at him. Deku can sense these small animals are different by their simple behaviors. A small fox stopped in front of his path. I wouldn't go that way, human. Deku stared down at the strange white fox that apparently knows how to speak human language. I should be more alarmed that you could actually speak. And I could understand you. But I'll play along. Why should I? I have warned every human that I came across that came from that village, or any other human that ventures here. You might be welcome at the village, but beyond that, that bear will most likely try to kill you and eat you on sight. It's up to you if you heed the warning, or not, human. Another dead human won't affect us one bit. I just wanted to make sure you know the dangers moving forward. The small white fox no longer paid Deku any mind, as the fox ran off deeper into the forest, in the opposite direction that Deku is heading to. Yeah, I definitely hate Alaska. Not heeding the small critters of ice, as Deku continued on his way. When Deku entered a small clearing, he had to take a double take at a scene he saw before him. He saw a very miniature-sized village with small critters coming out of small buildings. He saw rabbits, chipmunks, and a few other small animals come out of the little buildings and huts like they're actual people in a human village. As a very old rabbit comes hopping towards Deku. Apparently, as Deku's confused, because clearly the rabbit has a white, long beard. Deku is clearly confused by the small village. He's extremely confused about the rabbit that apparently is hopping over to his location while he has a beard on. Deku knows quite a bit about animals, autonomy, and for sure animals are not supposed to grow beards like humans. Greetings, human. Welcome to our village. I am the village chief of this community. I welcome you to our parts. What brings you to our humble village? Not to be rude, but what are you? I'm a rabbit, of course. Don't you see the ears? No, I've seen rabbits. They don't talk or grow beards. As the old rabbit chuckles at his comment, we might look like little animal critters to you, young man. We're all magical creatures in one way or another. I'm not too shabby in magic myself. Small white rabbit gently places cane into the snow, boasting, we just chose this area on Earth to establish our new home. Outside of the white-haired humans that comes from that village that occasionally pass through these parks, you are the very first visitor we had, outside of the villagers, of course. I have no doubt you're after the very angry polar bear that resides in the cave in that direction, as the old rabbit points towards the cave. Past our little community, despite his violent behavior, it's not entirely his fault. He has a very sad story. Would you be so kind to listen to his story before you attempt to kill the poor polar bear? I suppose I can. Good. Follow me. The small old rabbit led Deku to the middle of the village, where there's a small bonfire going on as all of the other critters come out to listen to the old rabbit's story. Give me a second, guys. I need to shut my notifications off. As all of the younger citizens of this little community gather up to hear the old rabbit's tale about the sad story about the polar bear that they've been forbidden to go near. You see, that polar bear wasn't always a vicious, hostile bear, as he is today. I remember when I first established this little community. He was a cub during that time, much different than he is today. Kind, gentle. The young cub manifested his abilities because of his unique special ability over ice and the magic that resides in this land. The magic I cast on this small portion that we run, it has effects on the general animal population. Eventually, they were gifted the skill of speech. The old magic has that effect on living creatures. Enough time has passed, I suppose enough. It has effects on the general population of the forest. But unfortunately, strange humans came upon the developing little community we were building and captured all of us and experimented us in an old lab. And the young cub was exposed to the most brutal methods of experiments. After learning he had the ability to create ice. After myself and a few others managed to escape that hell, the young cub was never the same. Secluded itself over time, became more violent, even to our community. We dare not to go near that cave. He attacks anyone on sight. We only heard one thing in our captivity. A very evil human named All for One. We never saw this All for One. We only heard about him by the short human with a large lab coat during our unhumane experiments. Because our community feared this man, I cast a spell around this land for only humans and other creatures able to control ice can pass through the barrier. Before you continue on your journey, allow us to give you some hospitality in a form of a feast. You must be hungry. Decided not to be rude and attend the feast. The food wasn't anything special. Berries, nuts, and bread. Deku has no idea how they made bread in the first place. Oh, hearing his story won't change your mind, young one. But at least I had to tell you his plight. Please, do the old rabbit a favor and put an end to his misery. Deku was quiet for a few minutes, then spoke up. I'll do what I can. Get back to the village. Tell Yuri I said hi. You know Lady Yuri? That I do, my boy, that I do. Me and her have history. You would be shocked that me and her were once bitter enemies. In the past, Yuri has mellowed out over the years, given her very long lifespan. What do you mean long lifespan? You will find out eventually. She most likely sent you on this task to show your worth. I'm guessing you want her training. That indeed I do. That's the main reason why I'm even here. Best of luck to you. May I know your name? Deku. Very nice to meet you, Deku. I hope to see you again. In better conditions. As the small rabbit hopped away, as Deku got up from his sitting on the small wooden stool and made his way out of the strange, small magical village filled with small magical creatures that have their own personalities, he found the whole situation very odd. I'm finding this earth stranger and stranger the longer I stay here. Well, at least things are not boring. Time to get my head in the game. When Deku got close enough to the cave... When Deku got closer to the cave, the more bones and skulls he could see scattered around the forest. Entering the polar bear's hunting ground, Deku approached the large cave, only to hear a loud animal roar coming from inside the pitch-black cave as a humongous polar bear comes running out, swinging his humongous paw towards Deku. Deku dodged to the left to see the white paw slash right through a tree as the tree begins to fall and hit the ground. Deku created ice underneath his feet to slide around from the incoming humongous polar bear as it swipes another claw at Deku's direction. He dodged the humongous claw as he shot out ice out of his hands, only for a wall of ice to block his attack, as the polar bear burst through his own ice wall and slashed downwards. Deku into a slide underneath the huge polar bear. Once Deku passed underneath the polar bear, Deku slid to a stop. The huge polar bear roared as several ice versions of itself comes out of the snow, beginning to charge Deku. Deku started to move in a zigzag while sliding on the snow and shooting pot shots of ice spikes towards the incoming ice polar bears. That's, made of ice. Deku had to jump backwards from a humongous white fur claw, heading directly towards Izuku from above. The force of the bear impact when the claw met the ground scattered the snow into dust. Deku created ice spears and began to throw them at the humongous bear and the ice clones of of the polar bear. The ice bear shattered the moment the ice bear made contact. Deku noticed the huge polar bear charging towards him. As Deku threw out several ice spears towards the charging bear, only to see the bear cover itself in ice-like armor around its own body. As Deku's ice spears ricochet off the hard ice that covers the entire body of the bear. As the polar bear back paw Deku, as he goes flying into a couple trees, as Deku forced himself to stop by skidding across the snow. The bear charged forward. When the predator launched at Deku, a humongous ice fist hit the bear in the side as it goes flying into a couple trees, knocking them down, ripping them out of their roots. As the bear shakes his head when he got up from the impact, Deku made a humongous ice fist to slam down towards the bear, only to see his ice fist shatter by the simple roar coming from the bear's mouth. Deku begins to move around the forest using the same methods he used to make himself faster by using the ice underneath his feet to get around. The rampaging bear give chase when he slid deeper into the forest. A few minutes later of maneuvering around the trees, skidding around, he was forced to come to a stop as he found himself at the edge of a ice cliff. As the bear approached, as a humongous polar bear stalked its prey. As the polar bear proceeds to stand on his hind legs and slam both of his upper paws into the ground, making the cliff crack. As Deku is standing on becoming unstable, as the side of the cliff that Deku's on break off from the rest of the cliff. As Deku proceeds to fall off the cliff, the bear had a smirk on his face. Deku was forced to create ice claws and slam them into the humongous ice wall that he is falling right next to. As he dug his claws into the rock, as he begins to slide downwards a little by little bit, until his eyes widened, seeing his ice claw shatter, as he fell the rest of the way down onto his back, as he loses consciousness when he finally made contact to the hard snow ground. When he finally regained consciousness, he saw the sun already setting, and a full moon is in the sky. Deku got up from the ground and leaned against a nearby tree, and trying to get rid of the splitting headache that he currently has. As Deku's trying to get his vision begin to focus. Well, that could have gone better. Deku leaped backwards to turn his forearm into a ice claw. Who are you? Well, aren't you a jumpy one? I have many names, but you might know me as Death. It would take me far too long to explain things to you, but I normally only visit a person twice, during their birth and when they die. But you, my little friend, are a unique case. After all, it's not very often someone from Earth 2 comes to the prime timeline. Death snapped her fingers as a wooden cottage came into existence in front of him. Let's go inside. I would prefer to have this sort of conversation inside, instead of standing while it's snowing. as Death made her way towards the house, Deku following shortly. Death closed her umbrella when she got inside and pointed it at the fireplace as a fire erupts from the inside of the fireplace. As she sat down with 2 cups of hot cocoa that appeared on the table once they sat down. Have some hot cocoa. Yours is extremely sugary, considering your weakness for sweets. Deku sat down and picked up the cup suspiciously. It's not poison, love. As Deku begins to slowly drink the hot cocoa, while Death did the same. What exactly do you want to talk about? Darkseid, of course. Deku got extremely focused after hearing that name from the strange woman that calls herself Death. I see that got your attention, love. As you currently know, what's up? As you currently, you would not stand a single chance in hell in facing Darkseid. You wouldn't even stand a chance against Steppenwolf at your current skill level. Luckily for you, he hasn't caught a word on Earth yet. But it's only a matter of time before he figures out Earth's existence. I personally dislike that new god. He's a menace and a nuisance. So much work to be done after he's done with his little exports. Even I, one of the Endless, has to follow rules that we have to follow. As much as I would like to eradicate that being from this multiverse, he has a role to play in the grand scheme of things. And so do you, Deku. You're on the right path, becoming stronger, by attempting to get training from Yuri. She would definitely help you increase with your ice abilities, but unfortunately, that won't be enough, despite your superior genetics. You might be stronger than the normal human, not the same level as a Kryptonian, in layman's terms. In layman's terms, you have a version of slight super strength, just because of your genetics. Of course, you haven't displayed such feats yet, or your superior strength just hasn't manifested yet. But no matter. As a flash drive appeared in her hands, catch. As Death tossed the flash drive to Deku, Deku caught it in his hands. What is this? With the flash drive, what's in that flash drive will be quite useful to you. If you could piece everything together, and when you finally take a peek, what resides in that little flash drive is the key to enchant your strength and durability further. With that, you still be able to stand a chance against Darkseid. At least when it comes to just physical strength and durability. Of course, the information is not neatly packed for you. You're going to have to figure out the rest on your own. There's little hints in there, but with your given intelligence, that shouldn't be a problem for you. Why are you helping me? What do you get out of this? I generally don't get anything out of this. I simply have a soft spot for humanity in general. Drink up, Deku. I believe you have a angry polar bear to hunt. As there was a bright flash, blinding Deku's vision, when the flash finally cleared, Deku found himself outside of the cottage house. Deku found himself outside of the cottage house. Nowhere to be seen, nor is the strange woman that calls herself Death. Deku looked at his right hand to see the flash drive in the palm of his hand. As he pocketed the drive, he was just making sure he didn't imagine all that. Deku walked towards the cliff that he fell from and looked up. Deku could barely see the top of the cliff. Deku stopped 1 foot on the ground as a huge ice pillar shoots up underneath Deku. The pillar stopped moving when Deku got to the top as he simply hopped off the pillar of ice. As the pillar began to shatter into particles of ice, looked around to see the bear, nowhere to be seen. Only evidence the bear was even there is the paw prints in the snow, back into the forest, most likely back to his cave. Deku entered the forest and began to follow the tracks back to the cave as he stopped right in front of the huge cave. Get your ass out of that cave, you oversized rug. Deku shot out several blasts of ice from the palm of his hand. The humongous polar bear comes out of the cave highly pissed off. Round 2, you oversized rug. When the polar bear charged to open his mouth to take a bite out of Deku, Deku grabbed the polar bear by the upper and lower jaw, stopping the polar bear through pure strength, and threw him into several nearby trees with his pure physical strength. I hate getting my hands dirty like this. I'm an artist, not a barbarian. You forced me to do this, you oversized rug. I might even make you into boots when I'm done with you. Gonna rip you to pieces, little human. So you can speak, rug. I'm a polar bear, not a rug, and of course I can speak. I might be completely insane, but I'm not stupid. I'm done talking to you, human. I'm going to eat you now. Deku formed ice gauntlets over his hands and struck the incoming bear in the snout. As the polar bear goes flying backwards from Deku's punch, Deku used ice underneath his feet to slide towards the bear that was struggling to get up to his feet. As Deku kicked the polar bear in the side of the body, as the polar bear gets slid backwards even further, hitting several trees, cracking the tree that stopped his movement from the force of the impact. I hate using these methods. It's beneath me to use my actual hands to fight in such a matter. Deku landed another punch across the bear's face, and I didn't take kindly that you made me fall off the cliff, you stupid oversized rug that I plan to put across my fireplace when I'm done with you. Boots, after I make you out of boots, of course. Then I'm gonna skin the rest of you. The polar bear got up and swung his claw and enforced the claw covered in his ice, making ice claws for sharper cut. Make the claw sharper towards the small human boy, only for Deku to grab one of his claw fingers by two of his index fingers. How are you this strong? Think about a stupid human. Just die, well, don't you? Deku ripped the bear's arm off of his body as the bear roars out in pain. From that simple act, Deku began to slam the severed bear paw into the bear repeatedly. Deku dropped the bear appendage to the ground as the snow shattered from the impact of the severed arm of the animal from hitting the ground. Deku placed his foot onto the bear's head. The polar bear was beginning to struggle as Deku pointed his index finger in a gun motion towards the polar bear's skull and a gun gesture. Bang. As a shot of ice shoot out of Deku's index finger like a gun and burst through the skull, killing the bear instantly. Deku grabbed the polar bear by the leg and picked up the severed limb and dragged it back to the cave. The moment Deku went into the cave, he began to skin the bear. It took Deku all night to skin the bear entirely. The shrine. Yuri watched the events from start to finish, from her crystal orb, or ball, depending on how you want to phrase it, as she watched a small boy exit the cave and create a medium-sized ice dragon. As the dragon took flight, as the image was cut from the crystal orb, Yuri calmly got up and put the crystal orb back in its designated place and walked out of the room, stepped outside as she stares out in the distance. A few minutes later, Yuri could see Deku on top of an ice dragon flying towards her and landing right in front of her as Deku hopped off the ice dragon, as the ice dragon shattered into a million of ice particles. Deku handed over the pelt of the polar bear over to Yuri. Follow me. Yuri led Deku inside the shrine to a spare room. I suggest you go to bed early. Tomorrow your training begins. As she shut the sliding door to the room, Yuri went back to the main building of the shrine to begin preparing Deku for his training. Two shrine maidens entered the room where Yuri is in. Decided I'll be training the boy. He passed the test I gave him. I want everything ready. The boy needs to learn the basics. Get the training field ready. In the morning, the boy's training will begin. As you command, Lady Yuri. Who knows? The boy might even be able to learn my frost fire. He got up bright and early the next morning and put on the training gi that was placed on the chair right next to his bed when he woke up. He walked out and stood in front of the shrine to see Yuri waiting for him. Good. I got all your measurements right. From today forward, you will call me Master. Do we understand each other? Yes, Master. Good. As she tossed Deku a mop and kicked a bucket filled with water as it slid right next to Deku. Get cleaning. Is this part of my training, Master? As Deku has a confused expression on his face. Indeed, you're still quite young. You don't have the necessary muscles to use the shrine's martial arts style. And it would be unwise to put you through intense physical training. It would stunt your growth. You're to clean the entire shrine every morning. After you're done with that, you're to run around the forest around the shrine, outside the village borders. Just follow the trail. It circles around the entire village. You're going to do 20 laps around the entire village. Then you to find me to begin your meditation training. This will be your schedule from now on. Time to get to work. As Yuri walks off, Deku grumbled and began cleaning the shrine with a mop and scrub brushes that are in the bucket of water. The next 4 years was quite brutal for Deku. The first year was slowly to condition his body. Year after that, he began learning the shrine fighting style alongside with his meditation and his manipulation of his ice abilities. Fighting style he learned that utilized both abilities, his fighting style and his ice abilities, into a fighting style. Fighting style that you learn while he stayed at the shrine to utilize the fighting style and ability to create ice at will, using varying methods of different types of abilities using ice, including ice weapons. Deku is currently 14 years old. As you see Deku sparring in the shrine fighting, practicing the shrine fighting style against his ice clone in the sparring arena. That's on the shrine's property. Good to see you hard at practicing, Deku. Stop that for now. I want your full attention. Yes, Master. As the ice clone cracks and shatters into ice particles as Deku approaches his sensei, Yuri tosses a white mask that Deku is very familiar with, the Court of Owls. As Deku's blue eyes glow bright blue. I'm very familiar with this organization, the Court of Owls. They have overstepped their boundaries to try to take one of mine. One of your fellow sisters by one of their assassins. He has been dealt with. I have a task for you. These Court of Owls have crossed me for the very last time. You're to clip their wings permanently. Considering you have experience in that hellhole of a city called Gotham, you're the perfect person to send to Gotham to kill the leader of the Court of Owls and eradicate the rest of them. Leave no survivors, no evidence of their very existence. And this task will be a necessary trial for you, Deku. You will definitely be learning a lot during this mission. This mission will give you the necessary battle experience that you're lacking. You have progressed in such a short time. You're extremely a fast learner. I would even say you're almost a prodigy at this. But I'm confident you're enough for this mission. And I believe you have some unfinished business with these owls. Yes, Master, indeed. We have unfinished business. When do I leave? Immediately. Once you complete your mission, return back to me. You've learned a lot, but you haven't learned everything I can teach you. Yes, Master. Deku throws the mask in his hands as he tightened his fist, as the mask begins to crack as it's shattered into Deku's hands. Don't get too ahead of yourself. You're not going alone. Fox will be accompanying you. I suggest you get ready. It's not best to keep your senior sister waiting. As Yuri walks off, Deku got done preparing. He saw his senior sister, Fox, waiting for him in the at the exit of the shrine. Fox is an older teen, around the age of 17, almost 18. She was born and raised at the shrine, wearing a white short shrine maiden outfit, wearing a white fox mask with red designs on it. Good, you're here, little brother. We must be leaving. If we don't leave now, we'll miss our plane. Then we'll have to wait another 3 months for another one. Don't look so gloomy, little brother. You get to spend time with your favorite sister. Lucky me. I didn't quite hear that, as Fox created a ice kunai and placed it against Deku's throat. I mean, I look forward to spending time with you, my favorite senior sister. As Deku gave Fox a fake smile. I thought I heard. As Fox removed her kunai from his throat, as the ice kunai shattered into ice particles, the moment she took it away from Deku's throat. As that's where we're going to stop it. Hope you guys have a good night and day, judged by time zones, and I'll catch you in the next video.